أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين أبي القاسم محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome to our Tuesday night program of Dua Tawassul. Inshallah, tonight, along with the recitation of Dua Tawassul, we will also be commemorating the Shahadat of the two children of Hazrat Muslim ibn Aqeel, known as Tiflan Muslim, Muhammad and Ibrahim. And inshallah, followed by Dua Tawassul, there'll be short Marsiya, and inshallah, Majlis. For the Dua Tawassul, I will request Brother Ghulam Haider to go ahead and share his screen.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم إني أسألك وأتوجه إليك بنبيك نبي الرحمة محمد صلى الله عليه وآله يا أبا القاسم يا رسول الله يا إمام الرحمة يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا أمير المؤمنين يا علي بن أبي طالب عليه السلام يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند اشفع لنا عند الله. يا فاطمة الزهراء يا بنت محمد يا قرة عين الرسول، يا سيدتنا ومولاتنا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيهة عند الله، اشفعي لنا عند الله. يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي أيها المجتبى يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا عبد الله يا حسين بن علي أيها الشهيد يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن الحسين يا زين العابدين يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي أيها الباقر يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله، اشفعنا عند الله. يا أبا عبد الله يا جعفر بن محمد أيها الصادق يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا الحسن يا موسى بن جعفر أيها الكاظم يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن موسى أيها الرضا يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي أيها التقي الجواد يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن محمد أيها الهادي النقي يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي أيها الزكي العسكري يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا وصي الحسن والخلف الحجة أيها القائم المنتظر المهدي يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا سادتي وموالي إني توجهت بكم أئمتي وعدتي ليوم فقري وحاجتي إلى الله وتوسلت بكم إلى الله واستشفعت بكم إلى الله واشفعوا لي عند الله واستنقذوني من ذنوبي عند الله فإنكم وسيلتي إلى الله وبحبكم وبقربكم أرجو نجاة من الله فكونوا عند الله رجائي يا سادتي يا أولياء الله صلى الله عليهم أجمعين ولعن الله أعداء الله ظالميهم من الأولين والآخرين آمين رب العالمين اللهم
صل على محمد
وآل محمد.
خواتین و حضرات Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for joining us tonight to commemorate the Shahadat of the sons of Hazrat Muslim bin Aqeel. The program tonight will consist of we'll start off with the Urdu Marsiya in honor of the Shahadat, followed by the English lecture by our very own Maulana Rizwan Rizvi. So with that, ek salawat padi ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Ek Surah Fatiha. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. حضرت مسلم بن عقیل کے بیٹوں کی شہادت کی مناسبت سے ایک مرثیہ کے چند بند آپ کے سامنے پیش خدمت ہیں. ایک بار اور صلوات پڑھی اعلی محمد وعلی
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
جائز نہیں یتیموں پہ ظلم و ستم کریں، جائز نہیں یتیموں پہ ظلم و ستم کریں، ہے فرض ان کے حال پہ رحم و کرم کریں، اور آب و غذا غریبوں کی خاطر بہم کریں، شفقت سے دور ان کا ہر ایک رنج و غم کریں، شفقت سے دور ان کا ہر ایک رنج و غم کریں، اور پر درد یہ کہانی ہے غم کی یہ بات ہے، مسلم کے دو یتیموں کی یہ واردات ہے، مسلم کے دو یتیموں کی یہ واردات ہے، اور ہے راویوں نے قصہ یتیموں کا یوں لکھا، ہر شقی کی زوجہ تھی ایک نیک و پارسا، بچے جہاں چھپے تھے گزر اس کا وہاں ہوا، جلوہ جو ان کے حسن کا اس کو نظر پڑا، جلوہ جو ان کے حسن کا اس کو نظر پڑا، اور بولی کمی نہیں کوئی تیرے خزانے میں، ایسے ہنسی بھی ہوتے ہیں یا رب زمانے میں، ایسے ہنسی بھی ہوتے ہیں یا رب زمانے میں، ایسے ہنسی بھی ہوتے ہیں یا رب زمانے میں، اور بچوں کی شکل دیکھ کے بولی بحال زار، دل کیوں ہے خود بخود میرا سینے میں بے قرار، تم کس چمن کے پھول ہو کس باغ کی بہار، ان بھولی بھولی شکلوں پہ ہو جاؤں میں نثار، ان بھولی بھولی شکلوں پہ ہو جاؤں میں نثار، اور وہ رو کے بولے جا کے پڑے اب تو لال ہیں، اے مومنہ مدینے کے ہم رہنے والے ہیں، اے مومنہ مدینے کے ہم رہنے والے ہیں، اور پھر بولے خوف آتا ہے ہم کو بتانے میں، پائے شرف نہ ایسے کسی نے زمانے میں، اپنے بھی ہیں شمار نبی کے گھرانے میں، بابا ہوئے شہید پسر قید خانے میں، بابا ہوئے شہید پسر قید خانے میں، اور رتبہ کسی سے کم نہیں گو بھوکے پیاسے ہیں، مسلم کے ہم پسر ہیں علی کے نواسے ہیں، مسلم کے ہم پسر ہیں علی کے نواسے ہیں، مسلم کے ہم پسر ہیں علی کے نواسے ہیں۔ اور بچوں کو ساتھ لے کے گھر آئی وہ نیک ذات، رو رو کے پوچھتی رہی دونوں کی واردات، سائے کی طرح گھومتی تھی گرد خوش صفات، کھانا کھلایا پانی پلایا جو آئی رات، کھانا کھلایا پانی پلایا جو آئی رات، اور بالوں سے فرش جھاڑ کے بستر بچھا دیا، لے جا کے ایک حجرے کے اندر لٹا دیا، لے جا کے ایک حجرے کے اندر لٹا دیا۔ اور ہار شکی جو رات کو گھر آیا لوٹ کر، آواز آئی کانوں میں رونے کی سر بسر، زوجہ سے بولا کہ اس کو چھپایا ہے اپنے گھر، وہ بولی ہاتھ جوڑ کے للہ غل نہ کر، وہ بولی ہاتھ جوڑ کے للہ غل نہ کر کر، اور بے کس ہیں بے پدر ہیں پلک کے ستائے ہیں، مسلم کے لاڈلے میرے مہمان آئے ہیں، مسلم کے لاڈلے میرے مہمان آئے ہیں۔ اور ہاتھ اس کے آئے یوں جو وہ معصوم ناتواں، آپے سے اپنے ہو گیا باہر عدو جاں، بولا چھپے ہوئے تھے میرے گھر میں تم یہاں، اور میں پھرا ہوں ڈھونڈتا تم کو کہاں کہاں، اور میں پھرا ہوں ڈھونڈتا تم کو کہاں کہاں، وہ منہ پر تماچے مار کے بچوں کے ہنستا تھا، رسی سے بازو دونوں یتیموں کے کستا تھا، بچوں رسی سے بازو دونوں یتیموں کے کستا تھا، اور کہتے تھے بچے قتل نہ کر بھوکے پیاسے ہیں، ہم نیم جاں تو پھیلے ہی جور و جفا سے ہیں، پردیسی ہیں یتیم ہے آلے ابا سے ہیں، مسلم کے ہم یتیم علی کے نواسے ہیں، مسلم کے ہم یتیم علی کے نواسے ہیں، اور کہہ کر غلام بیچے تو دولت ملے تجھے، گر رحم کھا کے چھوڑ دے جنت ملے تجھے، گر رحم کھا کے چھوڑ دے جنت ملے تجھے، اور بچوں پہ آہ رحم نہ جلاد نے کیا، چھوٹے کے آگے کاٹا بڑے بھائی کا گلا، منہ میں جو اپنے بھائی کو وہ لوٹنے لگا، باکر شکی نے چھوٹے کا بھی سر کیا جدا، باکر شکی نے چھوٹے کا بھی سر کیا جدا، اور ظالم چلا جو لاشوں کو دریا میں ڈال کے، باکر وہ دونوں بھائی بغل گیر ہو گئے، باکر وہ دونوں بھائی بغل گیر ہو گئے، جائز नहीं यतीमों पे पर मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद. अब मैं दरख्वास्त गुजार हूँ to commemorate the martyrdom of the sons of the Shahadat of Hazrat Muslim bin Aqeel, for Maulana, our very own Maulana Rizwan Rizvi. Please recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajal farajahum.
رحم الله من قرأ سورة الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي قصرت عن رؤيته أبصار الناظرين وعجزت عن نعته أوهام الواصفين. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين أبي القاسم محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ولا تقولوا لمن يقتل في سبيل الله أموات بل أحياء ولكن لا تشعرون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Before I begin, just a quick reminder, inshallah, on this Thursday night, we will be celebrating the Jashan of Eid Mubahala. So please do join us. There's an update in the timing of that program, although throughout the year, Shabbat Jummah program starts at 7:30, and we move it around based on the time of Salat. Either we start the du'as before or afterwards. But because, the Salat time is at around 8:15, inshallah, this week's Shabbat Jummah program, with the exception, will be starting at 8:30. Instead of 7:30, the Shabbat Jummah program, inshallah, will be starting at 8:30. We will have Hadith Qisa, Dua Kumail, followed by poetry, and then, inshallah, to celebrate the Jashan of Eid Mubahala. Tonight, for this, Shahadat Majlis of the two sons of Hazrat Muslim ibn Aqeel, alayhi salatu wassalam, I chose this ayat from Surah Baqarah, ayat number 154, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses by saying, do not call those who were slain in Allah's way dead. No, they are living, but you are unaware. But you are not aware. Similar ayat has appeared in other places as well. وَلَا تَقُولُوا لِمَنْ those who were killed. وَلَا تَحْسَبَنَّ الَّذِينَ قُتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَمْوَاتٍ بَلْ أَحْيَاءٌ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ يُرْزَقُونَ. That those who were killed and slain in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, do not consider them to be dead, rather they are alive. And this ayat as well in Surah Baqarah 154 refers towards the same thing. So we find the importance and the concept of giving your life in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or known as martyrdom, shahadat. Therefore, Islam emphasizes a great deal the status of the martyr and the shuhada, whether the shuhada were slain in the times of ma'asumin, their status, and whether the shuhada were after the time of ma'asumin in the ghabat of imam. Their status is something which is unique. Martyr is the biggest mujahid, one who struggles. And martyrdom is the highest level of jihad. And jihad is the peak of ithar and altruism, and sacrificing oneself and joining the haqq. And jihad is preferring the desire of Allah over one's own desires. So there's so many, paygamat and the messages that we find in this reference from the kalam of Ma'asumin alayhim salatu wassalam. Jihad is actually the name of sacrificing the soul. The name, your friends, your wealth, your rank, everything is shattered. Depriving yourself from, the luxuries of this life, forgetting those who are your loved ones and the close ones for the sake of a bigger, something which is bigger and beyond. And that is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that means jihad is basically suppressing your anger and your rage. There's so many examples of this in the times of the jihad that was performed by the Ma'asumin, especially the life of the Holy Prophet and Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam. So jihad is, taking decisions against your desires and your whims only for the sake of Allah. Mujahid begins this reform for himself. Mujahid wants himself for the objective and not the objective for himself. So Mujahid in this way is merciful. He is good natured and has good manners. He's patient and wants to do good for others as well. And by irrigating this, in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, irrigating the land with their blood, the blood that spills of a shaheed, that irrigates that land, and then that land becomes muqaddas as well. So you find stories of different mujahideen and the shuhada and those who unfortunately the word has been taken out of context and the word has been misconstrued, used in the negative sense, and the word jihad right away alarms, and whenever this word is used, especially in the Western media, is something which is, in the negative connotation. But we need to explain this to the people that it's not what it is being perpetrated for this day and age. Rather, it is something which is above and beyond. Any type of struggle within oneself is called jihad, and the root word of it. Similar root word gives you the meaning or the word mujtahid. And mujtahid definitely struggles with the ilm and the knowledge in order to go ahead and, bring these laws for mankind so they're easily available for them. And this lifelong struggle with the ilm that gives them the status of being the mujtahid. So therefore, this has to be understood instead of just being, brushed under or shunned away and used in this negative sense. Tonight, very briefly, inshallah, I want to discuss the history and the background of the two sons of Muslim ibn Aqeel, or known as Tafilani Muslim. Hazrat Muslim ibn Aqeel, whose Shahadat Majlis we commemorated on the 9th of Dhul Hijj earlier this month. We know he was known as Safir Hussein, the ambassador of Imam Hussein Sayyid al-Shuhada. He was the nephew and son-in-law of Amir al-Mu'mineen, aside from being the cousin of Imam Hussein, and his most trusted, companion and his friend and his relative and his brother. Among the martyrs of Karbala are 7 sons of Aqeel and his 8 grandsons. So Aqeel, who's the father of Hazrat Muslim, and from the Al of Hazrat Abu Talib, we find that 8 grandsons were martyred in this. And therefore, this ayat holds out, holds true for the family of Hazrat Abu Talib by the blood of their shuhada, which irrigated this land of Islam, this deen which was on the brink of destruction. With this blood that was spilled upon it, that was shed upon it, it once again gave life to this religion. 4 sons of Hazrat Muslim ibn Aqeel achieved martyrdom. Among them being, Abdullah ibn Muslim is one of them, Muhammad ibn Muslim. They were present in Karbala with Imam Hussein, and that's where they attained the Shahadat. The other 2 sons for whom we commemorate this majlis every year are Ibrahim, and the other one is also known as Muhammad, who were martyred after a year, of the tragedy of Karbala. And their story is very, very unique. There are different accounts of it, and I'll try and see if I can manage in the time that I have to give, and while having the sense of the shahadat, as well as the masaib of these two. Because after you hear this story, the entire story itself is a musibat, is itself is the masaib, and there really isn't any need of further masaib after hearing this story. Sheikh Saduq alayhi rahmah has narrated from his father, Ali ibn Hussein ibn Babawayh, that when Imam Hussein was martyred, two young boys from his camps were apprehended and brought to Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad la'anahullah. He handed them over to his jailer, whose name in some riwayat is mentioned as Mashkur. And he was told to put them into prison, emphasizing that take away these two children, imprison them, do not give them food, good food, or cold drink of water, and harass them as much as you can. So from that, you understand that these people who were standing up against Imam Hussein had zero, human values in them. That while you're out there fighting, they don't have rahim even for younger kids. And the story of Karbala is with us. The story of, the children of Imam Hussein, Bibi Sakina, all of them are a testimony to all of this. So the children, these two children who were apprehended and brought and were put into the jail and they were imprisoned, these two, and while they were instructed that they should not be given adequate food and drink, and they should be harassed, these children did what? Belonging to the family of the Holy Prophet, they fasted during the day. And when night came, the guard brought them 2 loaves of barley bread and some well water. When entire year passed, so according to this riwayat of Sheikh Sadud, when an entire year passed in this manner, one of the children said to the other, his brother, that we have spent quite a long time in this prison. So this is probably, when you look at it, that the event of Karbala, Ashura in the month of Muharram, it begins, and on the 10th of Muharram we have the day of Ashur and the grand sacrifice. And so if on the 11th, while these kids are apprehended and they are made captives by Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad, and their shahadat is mentioned in the books in the month of Dhul Hijj, that tells you that the entire year was passed. And so he said that we have spent quite a long time in the prison, and our lives are passing away while our bodies have worn out. When the old prison guard, he comes, let's remind him, let's tell him who we really are, our family, our ancestry, the background that we come from. Maybe, he'll show some mercy and compassion towards us, knowing our qirabat, knowing our relationship with the Holy Prophet, knowing our relationship with Amir al-Mu'mineen, knowing our relationship with Fatima al-Zahra salamullah alayha, knowing our relationship with Hazrat Aqeel, who himself was a very, man of the one who was given the 2 wings by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after his shahadat. So that's, that one night, as the usual, this prison guard, he brought food. The younger boy asked, "Oh Sheikh, do you know Prophet Muhammad?" He replied, "How should I not know him? For he is my prophet." The child then said, "Do you know Ja'far bin Abi Talib?" To which he replied, "Yes, indeed, I do know him. Allah has bestowed him with 2 wings, so he flies along with the angels wherever he desires, after he had lost his 2 hands in the battle." The child then said, "Do you know Ali ibn Abi Talib?" The old man said, "Yes, I know him, for he is the cousin and the brother of my prophet." The child restored. He then said, "O Sheikh, we are from the progeny of your prophet. We are the sons of Muslim bin Aqeel ibn Abi Talib. We have been in this prison under you for a long, long time. And, of course, you're doing as you've been instructed, not to give us good food and drink and to harass us and to, keep us in this way where we're struggling." The guard fell upon their feet right away when realizing the relationship that these 2 kids possess in reference to these personalities whose names they just brought to their tongue. He said, "May my life be ransom for you." Had I known this ahead of time, I would not have, harassed you as much. O progeny of the chosen prophet of Allah, the doors of this prison are open for you. And this guard, whose name is Mashkur, later on, inshallah, towards the end, I'll mention as to what he suffered for what he did. He said to the two kids, you may go wherever you want, whichever place you desire. When the night fell, he brought the 2 loaves of barley bread and a jar of water and showed them the way out. Then said, travel during the night and hide during the day till Allah grants you relief. The 2 children, being young, they weren't that old, came out at night, being in the city, which is strange to them. They were from Medina, just like their father, Hazrat Muslim, who struggled in the city of Kufa, who came while everybody was with him, who came while people, according to some riwayat, entire Kufa was with him. 18,000, and then some riwayat, entire Kufa was with him. But then when Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad comes, how people left Hazrat Muslim ibn Aqeel, how he was left by himself, and then the struggle that he began that night, very night, and the Shahadat that happened. These 2 children came out at night as well. Now at least Hazrat Muslim was old to be not scared at night, but the 2 kids wandering around in the streets at nighttime, they come to a house, where there was a woman. You heard in the Marthia as well, according to that riwayat, that this woman who had a husband who was a very evil man. But in some riwayat, it was her son-in-law. And nonetheless, these 2 kids, they said, we're young travelers and we do not know the road. We don't know where to go. And the night has fallen. Give us refuge in your house tonight and we shall go at dawn. The woman said, who are you? I've never smelt such fragrance that is emerging from you. They replied, O woman, we are from the progeny of your prophet, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We have escaped from the prison of Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad. The woman said, oh my dear children, my son-in-law is an evil man. If he finds out that you are hiding in this house, he will definitely turn you over to Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad. He was present in Karbala and he fought along in the armies of Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad. I fear lest he finds you and he will kill you. The children replied, there's really no better place for us than being in your house. Only for that one night we want to stay and inshallah we'll go away. The woman agreed, who knew that her son-in-law, and in some riwayat her husband, was not home. She agreed, she brought them inside, gave them food, provided for them, comforted them, because knowing the family, in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, especially when this is ajr risalat that this lady is performing. And then she put the kids to sleep. Late at night, when that evil son-in-law, or by some riwayat, the husband of that lady came home, slowly knocked on the door. She said, who is it? He responded, this is I, let me in. He said, why are you coming at that's so late at night? The man says, woe be to you, open the door, let me in. The woman let him in. He comes inside. He said, what's happening? What's going on with you? He replied, the 2 children have escaped from the prison of Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad. And he has announced that whoever brings them or brings their heads to me, I shall give them, reward in the thousands of dinar or dirhams. And then she said to him that, why do you want to bring the wrath of the Holy Prophet upon you? How will you face the Holy Prophet? Why were you looking for these kids? That if you were to find them, what were you going to do? He said, I'm going to do exactly as I've been instructed. I'm going to turn them over to my master. She said, fear for the wrath of Allah on the day of judgment. These are the progeny of the Holy Prophet. He replied, woe be to you. This world should certainly be desired. Imagine just the same way people were brainwashed in that time. This man was thinking in the same way. She said, what will you do with this world when it is not accompanied by you in the hereafter? Trying to awaken the conscience of this man that you cannot take all of this wealth with you in the hereafter. Why would you want to get your hands on such wealth? You see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives opportunity to people before they can commit evil acts, before they can make mistakes, before they fall into a ditch. before their shortcomings and sins, Allah gives ample opportunity for them to get out of these situations. And you will see that even the children of Hazrat the Muslim will give opportunity to this man so that he does not commit this act of evil. She said, you know, what were you going to do in the hereafter? He's responded by saying, why are you defending these kids? Is this something that you're hiding? He started feeling suspicion. Do you know the whereabouts of these kids? Do you want to go and be present in the company of Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad and answer these questions? The woman said, what concern the commander has with me? A person like me who lives in the desert. He said, open the door that I may relax a bit, so that I've been tired all day long searching for these kids and I could not find them anywhere. And I shall start finding them tomorrow morning from the beginning. The man comes inside, the woman lets him in. It's his house indeed. In the middle of the night, he somehow hears the sound of the two kids. He followed where the sound was coming from and eventually makes his way to the room where these kids were sleeping. The child asked him, who are you? This man replied that I'm the owner of the house. This is where the child woke up his brother. He said, oh, my brother, wake up. We have fallen prey to that what we had feared. That man, that evil man has come and we have fallen prey to him. He again inquired of them as to who they were, to which they replied, oh man, do you promise us aman and safety if we reveal our identity? He replied, yes, I will, of course. Of course, he was lying. They said, do you swear protection and responsibility of Allah and his prophet? To which he said, yes, indeed. They said that Prophet Muhammad, the sons of, we are the sons of Aqeel, Muslim ibn Aqeel, we are from the progeny of Hazrat Abu Talib. We are from the progeny of the Holy Prophet. This man, upon hearing this, he said, are you the ones who had escaped from the prison of Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad? They said, yes, we have. He said, you escaped death and again fell prey to it. Praise be to Allah who gave me victory over you. Remember the conversation that Janab Zainab had when she was standing in front of Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad and in front of Yazid in Sham. And she had the same conversation as to how he was bragging and boasting that how Allah has given us victory and how Allah has caused you and your family to face such humiliation. Janab Zainab responded by saying, Ma ra'aytu illa jamila. This is all the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I don't see anything wrong with it. Saying this, he rose and he tied their hands, and the children lay there until the morning. In the morning, when they reached the shore of Furat, Euphrates, he unsheathes his sword, brings it out, scares the kids. When the children saw the naked sword, their eyes became full of tears. First, he asked his ghulam to go ahead and kill and sever the heads of the kids. The ghulam came near the kids with the sword. The kids reminded the ghulam that you remind us of Hazrat Bilal, who was the companion of the Holy Prophet. We've heard a great deal about Bilal. This man said, who are you? They responded and replied to him by telling him their ancestry and what family they belonged to. This ghulam, his hand started shaking. Riwayat mentioned that he jumped himself into the Euphrates and he swam onto the other side. The master of this man said, why are you running away and disobeying me? He said, I'd rather disobey you than and obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'd rather disobey you than disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You wanted me to commit this act of evil? He ran away. Then this man asked his own son to go ahead and do the honors. Go ahead and kill these kids and sever their heads. When the child came, this young son of this man came, he was told about the ancestry of these kids. He also ran away, saying that I don't want to commit this act of evil. And then this man says, no, verily, I shall kill you and take your heads to Ubaidullah and earn the reward. This is where I want to share the conversation the kids have with this man, reminding him and giving him respite, giving him opportunity to go ahead and save himself. You know, this was the first and foremost from the family of the whole Holy Prophet, that they would give opportunity even to their enemies, lest they may learn something and do not overburden themselves of these crimes. They said, the two kids said, Ya Sheikh, انطلق بنا إلى السوق واستمتع بأثماننا. Take us to the marketplace, sell us, and then take the money and use it for you. ولا ترد أن يكون محمد خصمك في القيامة غدا. Don't make the anger of the Prophet to be that you're facing it tomorrow on the day of judgment. فقال لا ولكن أقتلتمكما وأذهب برؤوسكما إلى عبيد بن زياد وآخذ جائزة الألفين. He said, no, instead, I'll go and I'll kill you and I'll bring your heads to Ubaidullah and I'll get the reward from him instead of any other reward. They said again, فقال يا شيخ أما تحفظ قرابتنا من رسول الله. Do you not remember our relationship with the Holy Prophet? He said, you don't have any relationship with the Holy Prophet. Then they said, يا شيخ فأتي بنا إلى عبيد الله بن زياد حتى يحكم فينا بأمره. Okay, take us alive to Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad. He will deal with us. Why are you going to go ahead and kill us? He did not listen. He said, Ya Sheikh, ama tarhamu sigare sinnina? Do you not have any mercy looking at our young age, how young we are? He said, even that does not affect me. And then they said, when nothing worked, they said, Ya Sheikh, in kan wala buddha fada'ana nusalli raka'at. If that's what you have made up your mind and you want to go ahead and do this, then let us at least pray salat, you know, so that we can offer thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, go ahead and pray as much as you want to. See what is going to be beneficial to you. This salat is not going to benefit you at all because I am going to go ahead and kill you. The two kids went ahead, they performed 4 rakat salat, and then they raised their heads towards the heavens and they made this dua. فَنَادَيَا يا حي يا حكيم يا أحكم الحاكمين احكم بيننا وبينه بالحق. They said, oh, the one who's alive, oh, the one who's ever living, oh, the one who's wise, do justice, do hukm between us and him with haqq. Oh, ever living, oh, wise, oh, the best of judges, judge between us with righteousness. He stood up and severed the head of the elder brother. And then he kept it in the bag. While he had severed the brother's head, the younger brother leapt onto the body of the older brother. While his body was bleeding, the younger brother said, who smeared his body in the blood of the elder brother, he said, I desire to meet the Holy Prophet in this very state, drenched in the blood of my brother. He said, do not fear, for I shall soon kill you and you will join your brother as well. Saying this, he severed his head too and placed it in the bag and then threw the bodies into the Euphrates. It is mentioned in some riwayat that when he threw the two bodies into the Euphrates, eventually the bodies came together as if they were hugging each other. And then he took the heads to Ubaidullah, who was seated on his throne holding a staff. He placed the two heads before Ubaidullah, who rose up and then said, woe unto you. Where did you find them? He said, someone in my family had given them refuge. Ubaidullah said, did you not honor the rights of the guest? He said, no, I did not. He said, what did they tell you? Did they speak to you? Did they say anything to you? He said, yes, they did. He said, take us to the market and sell us and, use the money that you will find from it. Then he said, what else did they say? He said, well, don't you want to meet the Holy Prophet tomorrow in the state? Do you want to meet the Holy Prophet tomorrow in the state that you have killed us? I did not pay attention to what they were saying. He said, what else did they say? He said, take us to Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad. He will deal with us. Why are you killing us? What did you say? Well, I said, I did not listen to them. I went ahead and performed what I thought was best to seek your pleasure and to seek the reward from you. Ubaidullah says, why didn't you bring them to me alive? So I could have gifted you 4,000 dirhams instead of 2,000. He replied, my heart did not give me respite, except to earn your nearness by spilling their blood myself. Ubaidullah asked, said the same thing. He said, then what else did they say? Was there anything else that they were saying? He said they continued on responding and replying by saying their relationship to the Holy Prophet. And then at the end, they asked to go ahead and perform salat. And then they made this dua that, oh Allah, oh wise, oh Hayy, do be judge between us and this man with haqq and with righteousness. Some riwayat mentioned that Ubaidullah said, woe be to you. What else did they tell you? Woe be to you. And then he said, take him to the same spot where he has slaughtered the children, strike his head, spill his blood over theirs, and hasten and bring his head back to me. This is where I want to share difference in account as to who killed this man and how Ubaidullah had dealt with the jailer who released the two children. After Ubaidullah summoned the slave, he said to his slave Nadir, that tie this man and take him to the same place where he had murdered those two boys. Cut off his head, do all of these things, and I will give you 10,000 dinars for what you have done, and I will free you as well. So Nadir took him where he had slain the two boys, and he did as Ubaidullah had asked. It is confirmed that these two boys were the maternal grandsons of Amir al-Mu'mineen, and of course, they were the grandchildren of Ja'far al-Tayyar. Historians also mention this man who helped them leave this prison. He was apprehended by Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad. His name was Mashkur. There's a census that their killer was Harith, and Mashkur was the man who had released them from the prison. This is where difference of opinion regarding the executioner of Harith. Some have mentioned it to be Nadir's slave of Ibn Ziyad. Some said there was a friend, a Syrian friend, but that does not really concern us. I want to mention what Sayyid Muhammad Hassan al-Qazvini has mentioned in Riyadh al-Ahlan in regards to this man, this jailer known as Mashkur. And when you do something for the sake of the Holy Prophet, when you do something for the sake of the children of the Holy Prophet, this is the reward that you get. And you try to comprehend as to how this man had felt in this way when he was summoned by Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad. So when he released the kids, he was found, he was brought to Ubaidullah. He asked him, what did you do with these kids? He said, I released them last night. He said, why? He said, for seeking the pleasure of Allah. He said, did you not dread my fury? He responded by saying, those who fear Allah do not fear people like you. That accursed man became infuriated and said that he would make him taste the consequences of what he has done. Mashkur said, I have done this after considering the consequences. You can do whatever it is that you like. Ibn Ziyad ordered them to first crucify him and then lash him 500 times. And lastly, he should be beheaded. Mashkur said, this punishment is very less in comparison to the love of Ali Muhammad that I have attained. The executioner took away this fortunate man and crucified him. When the executioner gave him his first lash, Mashkur said, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. When he struck him the second time, he said, oh Allah, bestow patience to me. When he was struck the third time, he said, oh Allah, bestow forgiveness to me. When he was lashed the fourth time, Mashkur said, oh my God, you know that they are killing me due to the affection and the nearness that I have for your Prophet and his family members. When the executioner gave him the fifth lash, Mashkur said, oh Allah, convey me to the company of your messenger and his Ahlul Bayt. When he gave him the sixth lash, Mashkur said, woe be unto all of you. After that, they was silent. When 500 lashes were completed, someone asked, oh Mashkur, will you have some water? He replied, I have already drank from the drink of Kawthar by the hands of the Holy Prophet, and I do not need any water at all. We find that jaza was given to Mashkur even in this life. And of course, the jaza that he will receive in the hereafter. And the jaza to that man, Harith, by some records, was given to him in this world, and he will receive the ultimate jaza in the hereafter as well. The sad tragedy of the shahadat of the two kids of Muslim ibn Aqeel. who were wandering in the streets of, Kufa, and eventually they were beheaded and they were killed in this such a manner. Hazrat Muslim ibn Aqeel, who showed his loyalty to Imam Hussein and continued to perform his duties of being the Safir of Imam Hussein. The Shahadat news, when it had reached, how Imam dealt with the kids of Hazrat Muslim. Riwayat mentioned how he dealt with the daughter of Hazrat Muslim. And the daughter turned around and said to Imam Hussein, "Oh, Imam, it seems you're dealing with me like the people deal with orphans." Imam Hussein responded, "Yes, indeed. Today you have become an orphan. Your father has been martyred, but let it be known that as long as Hussein is alive, you will not feel that you have become an orphan." I would say, Imam, you're telling this to the daughter of Muslim ibn Aqeel. You're telling this to the kids of Muslim ibn Aqeel. But imagine tomorrow when your own daughter, Janab Sakina, will be hit on the face. She will be struck with Taziana. She will be struck and battered around from city to city. What will she say? That my father was also killed and I'm being treated as I have become an orphan. Ajrukum Allah. May Allah give you no sorrow or no grief except the sorrow and the grief of Ahl Bayt alayhi salatu wassalam. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our ibadah tonight. We have committed a lot of sins. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our sins. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the tawfiq and ability to learn from the examples of Isar and to learn from the examples of altruism from the kids of Muslim ibn Aqeel. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to hasten the dhuhur of our weighted Imam and make us amongst the helpers and the soldiers of Imam. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Mutawajjih ziyada. Assalamu alaikum ya Rasulullah. Assalamu alaikum ya Nabi Allah. Assalamu alaikum ya Habib Allah. Assalamu alaikum ya Akhirat Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum ya Abdullah. Assalamu alaikum ibn Rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa ala jaddika wa abik wa ala ummika wa akhik wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum ya Gharib al-Ghuraba. Assalamu alaikum ya Mu'in al-Du'afa wal-Fuqara. السلام عليك الشمس الشموس وعنيس النفوس أيها المدفون بعرض توسلي ابن مصر الله ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك صاحب الأسر والزمان. السلام عليك إمام الإنس والجان. السلام عليك شريك القرآن. عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك وظهورك وجعلنا من أعوانك وأنصارك ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل على. Once again, a reminder, inshallah, Thursday program will be starting at 8:30 p.m. and inshallah we'll be celebrating Jashne Mubahala. Until then, take care of yourselves. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.